Welcome. Get ready for a true dose of terror. In this countdown, we're unveiling the 10 best horrors on Netflix that will shake you to your core. These movies and series will make sure your nights are never the same. Turn on the lights. It's going to be scary. Number 10. His House. In the bleak quiet, two refugees from Sudan, Bol and Rial, find refuge in England. Their new home, at first glance deserted and bleak, hides something much darker. From the moment they cross its threshold, things begin to happen that go beyond comprehension. Broken dreams, nightmares of the past, and shadows from another world creep into their lives, intertwined with the pain of loss. But it's not just the past that pursues them. There's a ghost hiding within the walls of this house that won't let them forget their terrible deeds. Every creak of the floor, every rustle in the darkness becomes a prelude to the coming terror. This entity refuses to leave them. Every look in the mirror and every whisper in the darkness reminds them that what they feared has never left. Number 9. The Ritual. 4 friends set out on a joint hike in the mountains of Sweden to honor the memory of a tragically deceased friend. It was supposed to be an ordinary hike, a moment of reflection, a breather from everyday life. But the dense forest hides something dark. The paths seem to lead nowhere, and in the heart of the wilderness, they discover an abandoned house where they find macabre symbols and a strange altar. This is no ordinary forest. It's a place where an ancient evil still awaits victims. As night falls, something begins to watch them. With each passing hour, the tension grows, and their minds begin to break down. Someone, or something, won't let them leave. Every step in the darkness could be their last, and the ritual that was once performed here may soon be repeated. Will they escape before they become part of a terrifying cult? Will the forest let them leave alive? Number 8. Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. In the dark recesses of the human imagination lurk the most terrifying nightmares, and in this chilling series, each story opens the door to a whole new world of horror. Unseen forces, ancient curses, disturbing secrets, and monsters lurking in the shadows make reality begin to crumble. Each episode is a separate story, full of darkness, unexplained phenomena, and characters struggling with mysterious supernatural powers. Nothing here is what it seems, and what seems dead is just waiting to be awakened. Horror is omnipresent, and the viewer never knows what lurks around the corner. The real horror lies not only in the creatures that roam the world, but also in what humans themselves create when their hearts are filled with fear and obsession. Number 7. Pearl. On a desolate farm in the heart of America, a young woman lives in isolation under her mother's strict eye, but something dark is growing in her heart. Beneath the surface lies an uncontrollable desire to escape, a dream of fame that slowly turns into madness. With each day spent in the silent company of animals and unrelenting duties on the farm, the line between reality and sinister fantasies begins to blur. Her dreams of a better life turn into a nightmare with brutal consequences. As she begins to fulfill her destiny, it becomes clear that nothing will stop this bloodthirsty soul from breaking free from the world that imprisons her. On a farm where silence seems to scream, a macabre story unfolds, full of death, lust, and desperation. Hell begins with a woman who has decided to reach for her dark dreams. Number 6. The Platform. In a gloomy, multi-story structure, people are confined to austere cells, and their lives depend on a mysterious mechanism that provides them with food. The food appears on a giant platform that gradually slides down, level by level. Those at the top feast, while those at the bottom get the leftovers, if anything remains. As the platform descends, desperation, struggle for survival, and madness take over on the lower floors. The brutal rules of the place show how far a person can go when their existence is reduced to hunger and the lust for survival. Those who try to change anything quickly discover that the system is merciless and that every act of rebellion leads to suffering. As the days pass, it becomes clear that the worst evil lurks not only in the system, but in the people themselves, who gradually lose their humanity. Number 5. The Haunting of Hill House. The Haunting of Hill House is a terrifying tale of a family that has taken up residence in a cursed house where the thin line between life and death blurs into darkness. Hill House is like a living thing. Its walls whisper, its rooms come to life, and its corridors lead straight to madness. Each resident becomes entangled in cruel traps that play on their fears, traumas, and childhood memories. The ghosts that roam the house are not just memories of the dead. They are demons of the past that won't let anyone escape. As the past and present intertwine, it becomes clear that Hill House is not just a haunted place. It is an entity that thrives on the pain, suffering, and death of those who dare to cross its threshold. Number 4. Babadook. Amelia, a single mother, is struggling to cope with grief after the tragic death of her husband, who was killed on the way to the hospital while she was giving birth to their son, Samuel. The boy, scarred by this loss, is convinced that a monster lurks in their home. One day, they discover a mysterious book titled Mr. Babadook. This is no ordinary fairy tale. Its pages are filled with horror, and each successive page foreshadows a coming tragedy. Over time, the Babadook ceases to be just a product of children's imagination. His presence becomes increasingly tangible, taking control of their lives. Amelia begins to experience inexplicable events herself. The Babadook's power feeds on fear and despair, pushing mother and son deeper into madness. Number 3. Sweet Home. In a world full of darkness, people begin turning into monsters. This is no ordinary epidemic. It's something much worse. Residents of an abandoned apartment building witness their own nightmares coming to life, transforming them into terrifying creatures. Each person's desires become deadly, distorting humanity into something monstrous. In an enclosed space where anyone could be a threat, a group of survivors fights not only against the monsters outside, but also against the darkness within their own hearts. Number 2. Midnight Mass. The priest who arrives on the island at first appears as a symbol of revival and hope, bringing comfort to the despairing inhabitants. His profound sermons are full of promises of grace and redemption, and miracles seem to be happening all around him. However, behind this facade lies something disturbing. With each passing day, his influence on the islanders becomes more and more elusive, as if a delicate thread is entwining their souls. At night, when the silence seems to thicken, his figure moves in the shadows, and his presence begins to create an uneasiness that is difficult to explain. The subtle changes in his demeanor, the eerie gleam in his eyes, begin to suggest that this cleric brings with him something much darker than salvation, perhaps even a downfall that no one expects. Number 1. The Wailing. In a small, isolated village in Korea, something sinister begins to happen. People begin to die in brutal ways, bodies are massacred, and locals begin to suspect a stranger who has recently appeared there. A strange disease is spreading, leading to paranoia and vicious bloody acts of violence. Everything indicates that something dark and sinister has nestled in the hearts of the locals. It's not just a series of murders. It's something much worse. People are beginning to lose their minds. There is fear in the houses, and an atmosphere of something evil and incomprehensible is hovering over the village as if the residents themselves were marked. That's the end of our countdown. Which of these horrors is your favorite? Or maybe you have a recommendation we missed? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to stay updated with our next lists. See you next time.